And welcome to Martinsville Speedway as we get ready for the Kroger 250, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Trucks are already rolling around the paperclip here as rain has pushed this one back almost 24 hours. The Kroger 250 about to get underway. For the trucks, it's the second event of the 2014 season. I'm Rick Allen alongside Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip. Down on pit road, we have got Ray Dunlap, Hermie Sadler, and Bob Dillner. We're going to ride along with a few different trucks, and here they are.
Yeah, they're going to ride along with Jeb Burton. He had a great run here last year, finished third in this race, and he's going to drive for Thor Sport Racing, the number 13 truck, the Vapor Brands International Toyota, and he will start from the 22nd spot.
We're going to hop on board with Johnny Sauter in the number 98 Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff Toyota. He's starting in the 14th spot. Guys, we've got some fancy pictures from this car. Check this out. From the front bumper, we're going to see Johnny Sauter get with it.
We're also going to ride along with local driver Timothy Peters, who has won at this racetrack. He will start his Parts Plus Toyota from the 3rd spot. And Mikey, we've got an interesting camera view off of this truck as well, off of Timothy Peters. How about that now? It may get knocked off.
I love that. The best view is the one that this guy has. This is Ryan Blaney starting on the outside pole in the Cooper Standard Ford. He doesn't have anything in his windshield, Phil, and he liked to keep it that way for a long while.
He's on the outside, though, Mikey.
Well, he's going to squeeze over. They're buddies, right? Bubba's going to let him in, surely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
These two are buddies that make up row number 1, Darrell Wallace Jr. and Ryan Blaney. Such a different atmosphere here today as the sun is shining. Yesterday it was raining. We got pushed back, but now the temperature just above 50, 51 degrees. Really breezy, though. 23-mile-per-hour winds. The forecast for partly cloudy skies.
So listen to this, Phil. All the practice that we've gotten here, forget all that. The track's totally different. The Cup cars have put down 500 laps worth of rubber on it. The sun's shining. These crew chiefs, these drivers, they don't have any idea what they're going to have when they throw this green flag.
How much head scratching do you think went on during that 500-lap Cup race by these crew chiefs and drivers?
And you know, there's a competition caution coming at lap 40, and that could be a game changer. These guys could come to pit road, make adjustments there during that first pit stop that'll set them free.
Talking about scratching your heads, how about the kids in this race? Some that are making their first starts ever in the Camping World Truck Series.
7 drivers making their first start ever, led by Cole Custer up in the top 10. Cole said he thought he would have, if we'd have qualified, he'd have been even better than that.
Michael, you had mentioned the fact that we have 500 laps on this track as far as the Sprint Cup cars just before us. Now the trucks are going out there. They saw how aggressive the Cup cars were. Will they be able to keep their composure?
They have half the laps, Rick, so it's got to be turned up from the start. We saw the Cup guys get more and more aggressive as the race went on. They've got to start that way, so it's difficult to keep your composure, but we saw a young man in that Sprint Cup race keep his after a mix-up early, so hopefully a lot of these young guys said, I got to be like that. If somebody makes me mad, I got to put it behind me and try to win the race.
And we're about to find out who will lead the laps here at Martinsville as they come out of turn number 4. Darrell Wallace Jr. leads the field. He won here last year. Green flag in the air. We're underway.
Problem on the start there for Ron Hornaday, Phil. He just didn't get going. You can see the gap that he's left there, but looks like he's up to speed now. I don't know what happened to him. Look at everybody trying to get to the bottom.
They're going to fight for the bottom, and it really stacks up down there in the bottom. A lot of times, you can make a little ground on the outside. When it stacks up on the bottom, people will slam on the brakes to get to the bottom.
Single file for the first 5 now. Ron Hornaday running in that 5th spot. It's Darrell Wallace Jr. Timothy Peters has moved up to 2nd. Ryan Blaney in 3rd. The 31 of Ben Kennedy running 4th, and then his teammate just behind him, Ron Hornaday.
There's Eric Jones right there. Caught a glimpse of him in the 51 truck. Our winner last year at Phoenix, up in the top 5.
There's that bumper cam you were discussing with the 98 of Johnny Sauter.
Let's don't knock it off now here before we get it in 5 laps into this race.
That's Ben Rhodes on the outside making his first start. 17 years old. Yeah. He's running up there in the front of the field. But he's got his work cut out for him now, trying to hold on the outside.
Now the track hasn't gotten a lot darker. You mentioned 500 laps of Sprint Cup racing. Are the tires really putting a lot of rubber down, or are they just kind of scrubbing it off?
It didn't appear to. Goodyear made the statement earlier today that the ambient temperature needs to be in the 60s, but the track temperature over 80 degrees for the tires to really put rubber down on the track. So we didn't see that, and we saw a good amount of wear from the Sprint Cup cars. So I know these crew chiefs, again, Phil, another thing to scratch their head about. When can they get tires? How much tire wear will these trucks see?
You know, we talk about these trucks. They could probably go 130 laps or so on fuel, maybe even 140. I think they're going to want tires way before that.
And will there be pit strategy? Will we see a two-tire stop to try to get track position?
We might, but it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
We've got about the first 30 trucks all in the line. They're nose to tail and pretty well equally spaced. We saw Bubba Wallace just there out the front of Timothy Peters' truck get a really strong start, but they closed in on Bubba, Phil.
Yeah, Bubba said, if you're going to pass me on the inside, you're going to have to go in that green grass to do it. I'm against the curb.
Darrell Wallace Jr. and Timothy Peters both have wins here at Martinsville.
Yeah, and we think of Timothy Peters as a short track ace. He can come to the short tracks and really get it done. Well, Bubba's proved in a short period of time he's a short track ace as well.
Turning laps, average speed over 93 miles an hour around this really tight turned half mile.
A little bit different line off of turn number 2 for Bubba. You see how tight he keeps it off of 2? And Timothy lets it swing out towards the wall a lot more. Let's see if they do it again this time.
Yeah, that's interesting. We've really never seen anyone run it quite as low off the turn as Bubba is. You can see there he's really conservative on his line exiting, and it allows Peters to close the gap.
Harder on tires or easier on tires if you keep that tight line?
I think it's harder on them, but it's not enough of a difference to really affect it, I don't think, Rick. I think Bubba's just trying to see if he can really get that truck to stick really low on the track in case he needs to do that later on during the race.
And Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 10, that's the back of the pack. So Darrell Wallace Jr. inside of 10 laps is caught up to the back of the pack.
Timothy took a peek on the inside of Bubba that time. Wasn't anything there. Tucked back in line. Ben Kennedy, good run early on. He runs in. Oh, Norm Benning is around.
Norm Benning in the 57. Brings out our first caution on lap 11. We are underway at Martinsville on race number 2 of the 2014 season. We'll be back for more here on Fox Sports 1. Here's our Camping World track description of this 1947 track.
It's hung around a long time, hasn't it? And it offers up some of the best racing in NASCAR.
See, the corners are banked at 12 degrees. Right now, Ron Hornaday said this corner is flat.
There's no way it's banked 12 degrees. It feels like it flips over the other way. Straightaways are long and tight turns. Makes for some great racing.
That's a great shot of everybody fighting for the inside of the racetrack down the backstretch.
And that fight isn't over, Phil. Still a lot of guys stuck on the high side wanting that bottom groove.
Fight for second, and Darrell Wallace Jr. gets sideways as he goes into turn 1. That allows the 17 of Timothy Peters to catch back up on the inside. It looked as though Darrell Wallace Jr. had that position cleared.
I did not think there was room on the inside for Timothy, but he put it there, and that's that great camera view we have out the right side of his truck.
Great job by Bubba to clear Timothy on that outside. We know how tough that is, and that's Eric Jones there in the 4th place. Watch that cat. 17 years old, got a big win last year at Phoenix, did an amazing job out there, and he looks strong again today.
See Ryan Blaney right behind Eric Jones. He restarted in the 7th spot, moved up a couple spots here early on, running 5th.
Yeah, he had a problem on pit road. He was running 3rd when the caution came out. When he went onto pit road, he actually had to back up to get out of his stall. And so that pushed him back into the 7th spot for the restart.
Really curious to see how Johnny Sauter's 2 tires do here. Right now he's back in the 6th spot. You see him right behind Ryan Blaney. It's going to be really interesting to see how those 2 tires fare.
So far so good, I think. He started on the outside and he's able to fall in line there, not lose too many spots. So I think right now it's okay. But we talked before the 40-lap competition caution, we need to get up in that top 10. We got to make some ground, and Johnny's team decided to make some ground for him on pit road and got him up where he's running in the 6th spot now.
The field was set based upon practice speeds back on Friday, the only time that we were on track. Yesterday we were supposed to qualify. That got rained out, as well as the race, and so we postponed until this afternoon. And now it looks as though Ron Hornaday is enjoying racing on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and that truck's been solid. He was 5th fastest in the combines practice, so he started 5th, ran up in the top 5, got by his teammate Ben Kennedy, drove up to the guys running up at the very front of the pack here before that caution came out.
Martinsville, such a timing racetrack. Getting into the corners, rolling the centers. Your drivers always talk about, and then that forward bite that you have to have.
Yeah, and that's something you're going to sacrifice a bit with those 2 tires, is that forward bite. So Johnny Sauter will have to watch the trucks behind him, make sure that he doesn't get jumped on too bad.
Hornaday out in front of Bubba Wallace, then Timothy Peters, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, your top 5. Johnny Sauter is 6th. Cole Custer, the 16-year-old, running 7th. Ben Kennedy, Matt Crafton, and Ben Rhodes, your top 10. Bob Dillner.
Rick, Johnny Sauter not too happy, even though he's running 6 right now, that his team took 2 tires. He questioned it as soon as he left pit road. He said, these tires are wearing out. Why did we do that? His crew chief said, listen, we need track position. Johnny is a 2-time winner here at Martinsville. Hermie Sadler.
Bob, Cole Custer is driving that 00 truck. He is 16 years old. This is his Camping World Truck Series debut, but he has a lot of experience around him. His father, Joe Custer, is part of the management team at Stewart Haas Racing, and his spotter, Rick Corelli, already has 1 victory today, spotting Kurt Busch to victory in the Sprint Cup Series race. Greg?
Hermie, Eric Jones has finished in the top 10 in each of his 5 starts in the Camping World Trucks, including a big win a year ago at Phoenix. Today they took on 4 tires, but he was a little bit free off the corners, so his crew chief Eric Phillips made an air pressure adjustment on the right side.
Side-by-side action there.
He gets to the inside of Timothy Peters. We saw Timothy get a little bit loose off, and Jones was right there to jump. That 51 truck itself's been on quite a row, huh, Phil?
Certainly has. I think it's won 3 in a row coming into this race with 2 different drivers, Eric and Kyle, the owner. But remember, Timothy Peters was complaining about forward drive before that pit stop. Looks like he still has a problem.
Ron Hornaday, impressive once again at Martinsville. He has the lead in front of Darrell Wallace Jr. And welcome back to Martinsville. The Kroger 250, 59 laps into 250 scheduled laps. And it's Ron Hornaday still out front of the field. Darrell Wallace Jr. running 2nd. Eric Jones, Timothy Peters, Ryan Blaney are your top 5.
Top 5's broken away from that 6th place truck of Johnny Sauter. Remember, Johnny took 2 tires right now. There's a bit of a gap in front of him. Now he's got a couple truck link cushion on the guy running 7th right now, which is Cole Custer. But when you have a gap in front of you, you know the guy behind you is going to get anxious.
Yeah, and you better have a gap behind you if there's one in front of you, because if not, they're going to start jumping on you.
Leader still working around slower lap traffic. It'll get a little congested here. Hornaday has about a 3 truck length lead over Darrell Wallace Jr. as he's working through the slower lap traffic. And just behind Darrell Wallace Jr., a great battle for 3rd, Eric Jones and Timothy Peters.
Yeah, Eric got caught up in a little traffic, and Timothy got right to the back of that 51 truck of Eric Jones. But Phil, I like the way that 51 truck looks. He can really accelerate hard off the corner. I think he's going to be somebody they're going to have to beat this afternoon.
Remember, he's a teammate to Bubba Wallace in the 54, so they share information there. So got to believe those setups are very similar in those 2 trucks, and they're pretty darn good right now too.
Running 2nd and 3rd right now for Kyle Busch. Ryan Blaney and that Brad Kozlowski entry running in the 5th spot.
Yeah, as Ray talked earlier, they felt like they had a really good truck in the long run here, and we're liable to get some. And there's that gap we were talking about, guys. Back to the 6th place truck of Johnny Sauter. He has a little bit of a cushion now over the 00. There's that great front bumper view, headlight view.
I'm impressed though with this truck, Phil, to get 2 tires and be able to fall in line. And then you're talking about the gap ahead of him, but he's been able to stretch it out over Cole Custer, who rides behind him. And looks like Johnny's got a solid truck, and we know how good he is here. So he gets 4 tires, get a little track position to get 4 tires on it like the rest of these guys. Could be a strong truck.
Yeah, Johnny's won here twice, including this race last year.
Trying to defend that race win today.
It's got to be a good feeling for him too. He didn't like the call to get 2 tires. He restarts 4th. He falls back to 6th. He's got a lot of pressure on him from behind, able to stabilize and now pull away from the trucks behind him. So good start to the race here after Johnny didn't agree with the pit call.
Any of these young guys surprising you early on? Eric Jones running up there in the 3rd spot. Ryan Blaney, not such a young guy, but in the top 5.
Well, I just look at Eric Jones.
He is young.
He's 20 years old. He's not young.
Well, not like the 16-year-olds.
Well,
a little bit slow there for the 08.
I look at this 17-year-old of Eric Jones. He's like a veteran rookie. He's proven. He's won the Snowball Derby twice.
Right.
He's proven to me already that he is the real deal in this truck series by getting that big win at Phoenix. So I don't really count him in that category. The new guys that I'm looking to see what they have is, you know, guys like Ben Rhodes and Cole Custer. See what they can do out here with these boys.
And both of those young drivers right now running up in the top 10. As we continue to watch Eric Jones here.
26 trucks still on the lead lap. Ron Hornaday setting a pretty impressive pace still. His fastest lap, 20.2 seconds. The last time by, he was 20.8 seconds. Not a lot of fall off on the pace for the 30 truck. Gap between 1 and 2 has closed down just a bit. Ron Hornaday now with the 0.3 of a second lead over Darrell Wallace Jr. Bubba running some pretty consistent laps as well. Eric Jones running in the 3rd spot. Timothy Peters and Ryan Blaney your top 5 still.
Thought Bubba was going to make the move on Ron. He pulled right up to his tailgate, looked to the inside of Hornaday, but now Ron's pulled off by a couple of truck lengths.
It's amazing the maturity that Bubba has over where he was at this time last year. And he admits it. He said, hey, I made a lot of mistakes. I brought a lot of that on myself. But, man, he got some speed. He had speed all year long. He stopped crashing, stopped running into things, got some solid finishes, including this win here.
Yeah, and you have to be patient and smart to be able to win here at Martinsville, and he's proven he's just that.
We're looking at Ben Rhodes in that 32 making his way towards the front. Another one of those youngsters, just 17 years old, Herming.
Yeah, Rick, another driver making his series debut with a lot of talent, with a good race team. 17 years old, as you mentioned, but has a lot of experience on the pit box. Mike Hillman Jr., his crew chief, has won a lot of races in this series. Been very quiet on the radio. He likes his truck. They're just cautioning him to not overdrive the truck. Getting a lot of experience riding behind our reigning champion, Matt Crafton. Bob?
Hermie, Brian Eichler has not run here at Martinsville in 2 years, but he did have his best career finish here a couple of years ago, and that is a 3rd. Right now, Eichler is running 11th, and he's just trying to save his truck, but you can see it wiggle coming off the corner right there. He is fighting a very loose truck that wants to spin out coming off the corners, right?
Bob, when we run here in the fall, this race is 200 laps. Today, scheduled for 250. So I talked to a lot of the crew chiefs asking them about their strategy. Chad Kendrick, the crew chief for the 29, said we have to approach this as a 250-lap race, but we're not sure we'll get there because of darkness. A number of these guys are going to be watching how this thing develops. As Phil said, they can probably go 80 laps on a set of tires, but 80 and 80 is 160, and we already stopped near 40. A lot of these guys think they may be racing for 200 laps.
And just to give you an idea about the light situation, there aren't lights here at Martinsville. Sunset is scheduled for around 7:40. We started the race just after 5:30. This race normally takes about a 2-hour window, maybe a little bit under that. So we would hope that we would be able to get in with still plenty of light, even if we did have to extend the distance with green-white checkers.
Right now, Johnny Sauter, obviously those 2 tires have stabilized, and he's actually able to make some ground up. Got by Ryan Blaney.
Watch
take
this
over
little,
that 5th spot.
I talked about a bump and run, a little nudge, just showing you how to get it done on Martinsville. One of the options you have, I guess, Phil.
That's right where our camera is.
It is. I bet our camera had a pretty good shot of that. The 29, look at this.
Oh, me.
And
look how gentle.
He's going to use it. He used our camera.
That's a textbook.
out there.
That's a textbook pass if you need to nudge somebody to do it.
Right. There's other ways to do it. We saw Ron Hornaday pass Ben Kennedy with nothing, but Johnny said, I'm just going to give you a nudge. Nudges are acceptable, I think.
Letting you know I'm a little faster than you are.
I chased you down. There was a gap in front of me. Now I chased you down. I need to go.
And I'm an experienced veteran. You know, I deserve a little bit of
courtesy.
Just a little bit more room than most. If a rookie comes up there and does that to you, you might want to think about telling him that's not the way you do it. And there's a lot of rookies in this race.
Yeah, there are.
So far, it's just great racing.
7 drivers making their first start ever in the Truck Series.
Still the gap between 1 and 2, about a truck length.
Well, it just changed hands, Rick.
Hornaday and Darrell Wallace Jr. Hornaday's still out front.
I meant the distance.
The distance, sure.
Ben Rhodes has been able to get by Matt Crafton to take over
little damage to the left rear of that 88. Maybe someone tried the little bump a little bit harder than they were supposed to.
That could have been a chain reaction deal.
And this is it.
Might be it right here.
Remember what I told you about a rookie?
Ben Rhodes crumpled the fender a bit of that 88 truck.
Matt's like, I'm the champion. let's just keep that in mind.
John West Townley, the 5 truck, able to get by as well to take over the 9th spot.
Timothy Peters in that 17 running in the 3rd spot.
He just made his way around Eric Jones. So we talked about Jones charging up toward the front. Well, here comes Timothy Peters. This is just like Timothy Peters, though, right, Phil? You put some laps on the tires where you got to be smooth and take care of them. He's going to be the guy you better watch.
Yeah, they've run a little bit over 50 laps since that first competition caution. Mason Mingus into the outside wall.
Around he goes, and damage to the left side of that truck. And then behind him, Clay Greenfield and the 07 of Ray Black Jr. get together.
I think that was in the aftermath. I would say Clay saw it, got on the brakes, and Ray Black Jr. did not. Ran into the back of Clay. A lot of damage to that 35 truck. Here's Clay.
Ross Chastain was running in the 22nd position. He was the first truck a lap down, so he will receive the free pass. Second caution coming out.
See, Mason Mingus gets to the inside of the 77, Herman Quiroga. Not quite able to get there. Herman came down the racetrack. He got loose getting in the corner.
There's Jeff Burton's view.
Whoa, that was really late to make that dive bomb in there, Phil. And Herman Quiroga's lucky he didn't take him with him.
Wow.
Hornaday's your race leader, and that was a close call.
Yeah, I don't think the 07 of Ray Black was able to know that the caution flag was out, or that Mason Mingus was sitting there against the outside wall.
So involved in this one, Ray Black, Mason Mingus, and Clay Greenfield. This is the 3rd caution that we have had.
What are we going to do now? We only have 2 sets of tires left in the pits, and we have
a lot of laps to go.
Yeah, 157 laps to go.
I got to stay out here, Phil.
I think I want tires.
You do?
I think I want tires again.
Hornaday stayed out.
And it looks as though Darrell Wallace Jr. decides to lead the field onto pit road. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
It will be 4 tires for Timothy Peters, a former winner here at the Paperclip in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Right now, he says that truck just a little bit tight in the center of the corner. They're going to make a chassis adjustment and get him back out there, Ray.
Eric Jones is losing the drive off, late exit. They're going to make a wedge adjustment here on the Toyota Care Tundra. He says in general, it's pretty smooth through the corners. Hermie?
Darrell Wallace Jr. comes into pit road to get some more adjustments on this truck. It's going to be air pressure this time. 4-tire Sunoco fuel. Been fighting a condition a little bit snug through the center of the corner. So they're going to make an air pressure adjustment, try to get him to rotate better through the center, get that drive off. Left side's going on. Jack is down. He will win the race off pit road.
His teammate right behind him, though, Eric Jones in the 51.
And guys, Ron Hornaday is the only lead lap truck to stay on the racetrack.
And that could be a big mistake for Ron Hornaday.
Actually, Ben Rhodes stayed out as well as Greg Galdick.
So a couple trucks out there, but they might be sitting ducks. Greg Wolf now with Fox Sports 1 Newsbreak. Battle for the lead. Darrell Wallace Jr. jumps in front of the 30 of Ron Hornaday.
Phil, I don't like this tire decision. I said I didn't want to pit. Well, I got my wish, and I don't like it. Ron Hornaday's on those old tires, and everybody lined up behind him's got fresh ones on.
Yeah, Ron's going to have to play some serious defense here. And he just wants to keep that truck straight. Hermie, what are they saying down there in his pits?
Well, last minute call to keep Ron Hornaday on the racetrack and not get tires. His crew chief, Shannon Rush, has told Ron, based on the Cup race, if you can hold on for 5 or 10 laps, the tires will somewhat equalize. But as you can see, Ron Hornaday going to the back and not get down. They may regret this decision to stay on the racetrack.
Hornaday on the outside, Eric Jones on the inside. That's a battle for the 4th spot now.
You know, but Phil, he's not just dropping like a bomb. I mean, he's hanging right in there. He gets down behind Timothy Peters, maybe stabilized right here in that 6th or 7th spot. It's not going to be that terrible, and I think Ron has a good enough truck to do that if he can just get down right now. But no, Townley jumps in there.
If he can hang in the top 10, he'll be fine, but it's going to be hard.
Good battle here for the lead. Ryan Blaney to the inside of Darrell Wallace Jr. Blaney's going to lead this lap.
These guys had a good time during practice day leapfrogging each other on the practice chart and telling each other about it.
Yeah,
on Twitter.
Telling them about it on Twitter, who's going to do what. And right now, they're both doing it.
Ryan Blaney out in front of the field now, right?
Blaney was a little bit tight in the middle. When they came into pit that time, they went with 4 tires and fuel. Also made a track bar adjustment. He said, man, my entry is absolutely perfect. We're right, leave it there.
I'll tell you somebody else that's right is that truck in the 3rd spot carrying our camera and running into people.
That camera?
Johnny Sauter is fast.
He's going to break that camera. I'm telling you before this race is over.
Does he have any idea what that camera costs?
How about Bubba Wallace moves to the inside?
Race for the lead once again. Darrell Wallace Jr. on the inside. He'll take it away from his friend Ryan Blaney. Off the racetrack, these two guys are very good friends. On the racetrack, fierce competitors.
Blaney was able to sneak in front of Johnny Sauter in that 3rd spot. Johnny's got a good truck now. He's got 4 tires. I really think that 2-tire change worked for him because he was able to stay up into the top 5, Bob.
And the last time down pit road, 4 tires for Johnny Sauter. That truck looking good, and that's exactly what the team is telling him.
On the inside,
I think it's pretty damn sporty, man. We get some tires on this thing, it's going to be good.
Now, the funny thing is, if you listen to Johnny Sauter, he disagrees completely. He says the truck is no good, the engine has no power, and then they reminded him, Johnny, you're running in the top 5.
Sometimes you just have to be reminded of these things.
Just like they should have reminded Kurt Busch earlier today that it wasn't so bad after he got off of pit road and had an accident with Brad Keselowski down there.
I think he knows that now.
Kurt Busch said, we're done. And then later, he's in victory lane celebrating.
How about John West Townley? That Zaxby's Toyota moving by Brian Blaney. Good run early on for John West.
Impressive run for the 5 truck.
What about John West Townley in general? I mean, he's just proven that he can race at this level and races better and better each and every week.
Look at that 33 truck of Brandon Jones, another one of the teenagers. He's up in 6th spot.
Trying to get to the bumper of that 5 of John West Townley, Hermie.
What an impressive run for John West Townley. Started 16th. He's up into the top 5. His crew chief is Mike Beam, but Mike Beam is not on top of the pit box. He is on top of the spotter stand, spotting and crew chiefing to get a good look at John West. And so far today, he has to like what he sees.
I like what I see because it looks like he's got a really fast truck. He's made some good moves, but he hadn't got himself in a position where he couldn't get out of it. He dove into the low side. Look at the battle for the lead there.
Johnny Sauter all over the back of Bubba Wallace.
Sauter has made his Toyota work as he's right on the back bumper, literally on the back bumper of the 54. Maybe gives him a little bump as he moves to the inside.
I think Johnny's in a hurry. Maybe he thinks darkness is coming.
Johnny Sauter taking the lead away. He's going to bring Timothy Peters with him on the inside. Timothy Peters takes 2nd away from Darrell Wallace Jr.
Darkness is coming, Phil.
That's a known fact.
Bob Dillner.
Timothy Peters is on the move. He restarted 8th after a bad pit stop. A lug nut fell off the tire as they were trying to put it on the right side with the front tire changer, Michael Johnson. But now Timothy says this truck is better than ever before, and he is certainly showing it. Hermie?
Bob, 2 problems for Ron Hornaday. He's dropping back outside of the top 10, but also look at that left front. A little bit of damage to the left front fender, a little bit of a tire rub. It rose on entry in the center of the corner. So right now, Hornaday holding on and hoping for a caution.
I'm pretty sure he'll get one. I just don't know when it's going to come.
Cautions are coming just like darkness is. There's no doubt about it. This
will happen.
Martinsville, and look at the way these guys battle. That's just getting through lap traffic right there.
Impressive run for Toyota early in this one. They've got the top 5 spots locked up with Johnny Sauter, Timothy Peters, Darrell Wallace Jr., Eric Jones, and John West Townley.
Yeah, and in the first practice session here at Martinsville, Rick, they had 5 of the top 7 trucks then, too. So Toyota trucks here at Martinsville have been really strong.
Here comes the battle for the lead. Timothy Peters has to check up. Have they go by Norm Benning?
What about that block Johnny Sauter through? That's just what that was. That's exactly what that was.
Johnny said, I know there's a little room there, but it's not going to be there long.
Johnny Sauter still out in front. Timothy Peters trying to fight for position. Eric Jones makes the move to the inside of Darrell Wallace Jr., and he takes the spot away.
Eric Jones took advantage of Bubba Wallace having a little problem with some lap trucks, dove to the inside and made that pass work.
You know, we do a great job of capturing the action here on Fox Sports 1, but my neck gets tired from watching all the battles on the track. These guys are battling all over the place.
Battle for position everywhere around the short half mile. Now the gap between 1 and 2 has grown. Johnny Sauter will work by the slower lap traffic of Jim Joe Cobb in the 10.
I'll tell you what, when Johnny Sauter took those 2 tires and was able to maintain that track position, that told me he had a fast truck. He's got these 4 tires down. He is right.
After a while, he started going forward.
Closing in on the halfway point of this race, Johnny Sauter out in front. It's Timothy Peters, Eric Jones, Darrell Wallace Jr., John Townley, your top 5. Caution has come out once again. A lot of damage to the 23 of Spencer Gallagher. That's Brian Silas. He's walking back to the infield care center.
Caleb Holman was involved in that as well, Rick, and that's some heavy damage to those trucks. That truck of Gallagher's is bent in half.
Yeah, this is Brian Silas's truck. He was actually on fire after he made contact with Spencer Gallagher.
Yeah, Spencer Gallagher wrecked in turn number 1, but it really started back in turn number 3 and 4. He and Caleb Holman were racing for position. A little bit of blocking going on. Then looked like Spencer Gallagher was going to move over to the inside to try to block Caleb Holman. Caleb hooked him in the left rear quarter panel, turned him around, bounced him off the inside wall. As he came up the racetrack, Brian Silas came along with nowhere to go and hit him right in the door. The contact has already been made between the 75 and watch Brian Silas. Bam!
Right into the right side of the 23. Fire will then start underneath that 99 after this accident here.
That's insult to injury there. You're already in the inside wall and get hit again. And watch this 99 truck.
Burst into flames here underneath. So Brian Silas then brings that 99 to a stop on the backstretch and had a little problem climbing out of that truck.
Yeah, when something's on fire, you
try to get out of there as quick as you can.
Your first concern is just getting away from it. You don't know if it might continue or could get worse, and so he was just trying to get out.
Yeah, fortunately the fire extinguished itself, but as you mentioned, Brian had a little bit of trouble getting out of that truck.
And stepped into that throw. Didn't appreciate the way he was being raced by Caleb Holman.
Well, Phil started hitting me in the arm about 5 seconds before the wreck ever happened, because he said Phil knew it was coming. He saw those guys arguing over space, and that's what the result was.
Not a lot of space to be had at Martinsville Speedway, and 3 trucks involved in this incident. Fourth caution of the day here in the Kroger 250, past the halfway point from Martinsville Speedway. We're under caution for this incident. That's Spencer Gallagher slamming off the inside wall, and then the 23 right in front of the 99 of Brian Silas. And again, that was all set up by Caleb Holman in the 75. They got into the 23.
Yeah, the 23 and the 75 had a bit of an argument over space down in 3 and 4, and it continued all the way down the front straightaway. Brian Silas, unfortunately, an innocent victim there. Yeah. I mean, he had no idea that that truck was going to bounce off the inside wall right in his path, and man, did he nail it.
Hermie Sadler.
With the 54 of Darrell Wallace Jr. won here last time, and obviously has a good truck. Now he's battling with some other drivers, including Ron Hornaday earlier, some other drivers up front. He does not have the lead right now, but as you can tell by this radio transmission, they want Darrell to be a little bit more patient in traffic.
Right inside quarter here, tight quarter. Take care, we got to take care of this thing for a long haul.
Yeah, these guys are thinking about 250 laps. Things got a little bit dicey up front, so they want to save this truck. They will not come to pit road. They're saving these next set of tires for later in the race, Ray.
And Hermie, most guys do have a set of stickers down here in the garage, but they also are gluing up tires that have already come off of the truck. You'll notice here, these are for Eric Jones, but the right rear is from set number 5. That was what they used on the first pit stop. Check this out. The left rear is actually coming from set 4. So they're trying to close up the stagger a little bit in case they need these tires to go back on the truck before they get to their stickers. Bob Dillner?
Ray, Johnny Sauter leading this race is changing his tune about his truck just a little bit. He says, really don't have much brakes, guys, and that's a big concern. And if I had brakes, this truck would be unbelievable. But don't panic. It's okay. I think we'll be just fine.
And as Caleb Holman was going by, he called for the curveball, and I believe he did get the curveball.
Around here, your patience can dwindle between two turns. Any way you look at it, you're surrounded by friends and enemies. And so what you know becomes what you thought you knew. Only decisions made at fractions of a second will make a moment that lasts forever.
Oh my God, I'm speechless right now.
36 drivers trying to make memories in the Kroger 250. Who will get to victory lane today? Johnny Sauter out in front of the field now. Timothy Peters, Eric Jones, Darrell Wallace Jr. and John West Townley, your top 5.
Remember the 3 trucks that stayed out on that last caution. Ron Hornaday and also Ben Rhodes and Gray Gaulding made a pit stop on this caution flag. They're back in 18th through 20th.
That didn't help at all, really. I mean, you've lost all your track position. I mean, you've got tires now, but it's going to be really hard to forge all the way back into the top 5 from there for Hornaday.
John Hunter Nemechek, another one of the young drivers in this field today. Ray?
And Rick, he's one of the drivers that's made some very good progress in the early part of this race. Started back in 20th, up inside the top 10 right now. John Hunter said his truck starts out a little bit tight early in the run, but it seems to come to him. So they're happy with the progress. He's picked up 10 spots.
I talked to Joe Nemechek down in the garage area. He said, John Hunter wanted his truck looser. He wanted it looser. He kept saying it's too tight, it's too tight. And I said, son, if you get it too loose, I don't want to hear about it. So they're working really good together on the truck. And right now it looks like John Hunter knew exactly what he wanted as he's driven inside the top 10.
Yeah, he didn't inherit that. He drove up into the top 10.
Hornaday will be a fun guy to watch as he tries to do the same with fresh tires on a really fast truck from the back.
Johnny Sauter, Timothy Peters making up row number 1 as they come out of turn number 4 and get to the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Timothy Peters has been strong on the restarts on the outside. We'll see how he does this time against Johnny Sauter.
If you're going to make the outside work, the time to do it is right after a restart.
Almost had him cleared as they go into turn number 3. Let's see what he can do on the front stretch.
He gets that good run off the corner, and he has him cleared.
Impressive restarts for Timothy Peters today. He gets back out in front of Johnny Sauter. Then it's
contact.
Jr. running in third. They still are fighting for that lead.
Johnny Sauter's been very aggressive today, running into the back of trucks, and he does it again and sends Peters way up the hill.
Way up out of the groove goes to 17 of Timothy Peters. He'll put that in his memory bank.
He's going to try to tuck in front of the 88 of Matt Crafton, not able to get down yet. He's still hung on the outside.
Trying to get in front of that 5 of John West Townley. He'll do it. Riding along with the 98. After the pass has been made by Timothy Peters.
Hello.
Wow. Well, that camera's in the right spot.
In the 54.
It's going to happen again. This time in 3 and 4.
He got ran into once and held on to it, and then Johnny just ran over him again.
There's another view. See, Johnny gets in that left rear quarter panel and just stays right there. Timothy has him cleared for a second. Now Johnny's going to drive her down in there.
Gets into that left rear quarter panel again, and up the track the 17 goes.
Johnny said, well, I don't have to worry about him for a little bit.
So Johnny Sauter out in front, and all the way back to 5th now is Timothy Peters.
Long way to go here. Over 100 laps to go here. Timothy Peters is one of the coolest heads we have in this series. I don't think he's going to get rattled.
Brian Silas has been checked and released from the infield care center.
What about my man Hornaday? Said it'd be hard for him to drive up to the top 5 in about 5 laps. He's made it to the top 10. He's got a really good truck, and he just knifed his way through traffic. He's using those fresh tires. We'll see if he can get back to the top 5 on this run and put that decision not to pit behind him. Hermie, what are they saying in his pit?
Well, they're just really hoping their strategy pays off. Obviously, they have 2 sets of sticker tires left in their pit. They're concerned about when the caution may fall, but you're right. They've told Hornaday, not that they had to tell him, but they've told him to really take advantage of these new tires and make his way to the front, and he's doing just that.
Eric Jones in the 51. That's Matt Crafton in the 88 trying to make the pass on the youngster.
What about Crafton? He's just gotten that truck better and better as this race has progressed. Both of those Thor Sport trucks are strong today. Sauter out in front. There goes Crafton by.
Remember, we talked about
17 with him.
Talked about Sauter winning here last spring. That 88 truck of Matt Crafton finished second to his teammate.
John West Townley also getting to the inside and by the 51 of Eric Jones. Now Ryan Blaney in the 29 will also make the pass on Eric Jones. Still on the lead lap, 21 trucks. Chase Pistone in the 9 running 21st.
That's the 19 of Tyler Reddick, the 32 of Ben Rhodes, Gray Galding, the 20 truck. And that's Jeb Burton right there. We're riding along with Jeb. Jeb got the free pass to get back on the lead lap on that last caution flag. Now his truck looks a little bit better.
Is that a gaggle, Phil?
That's a gaggle.
Those guys not only are side by side, but they're into each other. Contact, full contact racing here at Martinsville.
Two of those trucks, the 20 and the 32, Gray Galding and Ben Rhodes, both came in with Ron Hornaday on this last caution flag.
Jeb Burton working to the inside of Ben Rhodes. Trying to get position, doesn't, but does a little damage to the left rear of that 32. Here goes Timothy Peters by the 88, taking that position away. John West Townley crowded for room, gets into the side of the 88.
Matt's going to be able to get back down to the inside there and prevent that 5 truck of John West Townley from getting by.
Man, they drive these things hard, don't they? Just need a little bit more space. Just leave the gas down a little bit further. I mean, I love the way the truckers go about it.
Less than 100 laps of racing to go now as we ride with Ryan Blaney. Currently in the 6th spot. He has John West Townley just in front of him.
We talk about John West having a great run here. His career best is 6th. He did that on 2 occasions. Right now running up in the top 5 with a darn good truck.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit better than the truck ahead of him of Crafton right now. Even Phil, you can see him just drive away from Ryan Blaney on the exit. Speaking of driving away, Johnny Sauter has put a gap on the field. You can see over a half straightaway lead on Timothy Peters and Bubba Wallace there.
Time's out at about 2.2 seconds right now for Johnny Sauter.
Darrell Wallace Jr. just in front of Timothy Peters. Timothy Peters trying to work his way back to the front after being moved out of the way while leading. Now he gets to the inside of that 54. You talked about how calm and cool that 17 of Timothy Peters is. That is composure. He has definitely got his composure as he moves up into second.
We'll find out for sure whether he has it. The truck
when he gets to the 98.
The truck ahead of him had to kind of make him mad.
Yeah.
And so I know Timothy's a smart racer, though. He can't let his temper get the best of him. When he gets to Sauter, it'll be interesting to see how he passes him.
And it might just be a matter of seconds. Johnny Sauter in front of Timothy Peters at Martinsville. Less than 90 laps to go. In the Kroger 250, Johnny Sauter still with not really a comfortable lead, but a little over a second lead over Timothy Peters, and Timothy Peters closing in.
Did you see the concentration, though, on Johnny Sauter's eyes? Man, was he studying.
He better be studying because troubles are coming.
Maybe he's studying the mirror.
Check out this. Hornaday up to 6th. Oh, is that the 5th spot? So he has cracked the top 5.
Restarted 17th.
You give Ron fresh tires with a truck like that. No one is more experienced in this race for sure. We know that. And he has cut his way through this field.
Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, as you guys have documented, Ron Hornaday, great job of driving back up to the top 5 on tires that are about 35 laps fresher than the drivers he's racing around. The question becomes, when the caution comes out, does the 30 have to come with the rest of the top 5 to have a chance to win, or can he take that gamble again? Bob Dillner?
Brandon Jones, a teammate of Ron Hornaday, having a great run as well. He's just 17 years old. He started way back in 21st, is up to 10th. He had been running as high as 8th, with that truck a little bit tight right now. 4 tires, no adjustments. The last pit stop for Brandon Jones, having a great run here at the Paperclip.
Johnny Sauter in the 98 continues to work by the slower lap traffic, and what that has done, it's enabled the 17 to close the gap. Now the 17 will remember how Johnny Sauter got by him. Will he use the same tactics?
I don't know. Timothy's a pretty level-headed dude, pretty patient racer. He's won a lot of short track races. He knows he's faster than Johnny right now. He's run him down from over 2 seconds, Rick. It'll be interesting to watch him work Johnny over.
He knows they have a long way to go here. 84 laps to go in this race, so doesn't need to be in a big hurry.
It's got to be a good feeling. Somebody knocks you out of the way, up out of the groove. You work your way back to his back bumper. He knows that Johnny Sauter says, oh, man, this guy's got a fast truck.
Him again.
Yeah.
You can see the tachometer all the way down below 5,000 RPMs in the corner, up to 8,600 RPMs.
Doubles in RPMs. Isn't that something? That's just
amazing.
Amazing the way these engines crank up off the turn.
Phil, as far as our pit window, are we looking at with about 20 to go? They may run out of fuel, so we're going to have a green flag pit stop if we don't get a caution that comes out?
Well, we had some caution laps, so that's going to help that fuel mileage too.
But
we know Ron Hornaday can go the distance.
Right.
He only has to go 117 laps, but these other guys have to go
40 laps more.
40 laps more.
What about Timothy Peters? He just drives to the bottom of Johnny Sauter. Now they got traffic ahead of him. What are they going to do now?
Johnny Sauter moves to second. Timothy Peters takes the lead away, knifing through the slower lap traffic.
Wow, what a power move by Peters. Never put a bumper on him, just drove around him.
And I think in the back of his mind, he knows Johnny Sauter saying, okay, I know I kind of took him out. I roughed him up a little bit. I don't think I'm going to mess with him much here when he got to me.
Yeah, I don't think I'll block too much or put too much pressure on him.
Okay, let me get my last set of tires on here, then we'll go at it again.
Let's get down to clock time. Still 79 laps to go. Timothy Peters back in front of the field. 61 laps were led by Ron Hornaday early. Johnny Sauters led 57. Darrell Wallace Jr. 34. Timothy Peters 16 and counting now. That's his 17th lap led.
That's Matt Crafton. He's running along in the 4th spot. There's Hornaday with those brakes going. He's 5th. John West Townley in 6th. So Ron's made some progress, but he's sort of stabilized now, Phil. I think he's got all the good out of those tires. He's running about the same speed as Crafton.
Yeah, he was able to get by John West Townley for that 5th spot, then not able to do anything right now with that 88 bright yellow car of the truck of Matt Crafton as they lap by Tyler Reddick in the 19 truck.
Look at there.
And
Johnny
here comes
Sauter's
Sauter
back.
once again. Will he put the bumper to him? He stays clean this time, trying to make the pass as they come out of turn number 4. Drag race for the start-finish line, almost dead even as they cross the stripe. Timothy Peters was in front there, but now Johnny Sauters has the lead.
I didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I thought it looked like Timothy was going to drive away.
Johnny Sauters takes the top spot back away from Timothy Peters. They run 1 and 2. Darrell Wallace Jr. back almost 2 seconds in 3rd. Then it's Matt Crafton and Ron Hornaday. Still working the slower lap traffic. Timothy Peters right on the back bumper of Johnny Sauter.
We only had 36 trucks start this race, and right now 5 trucks are being shown. Ooh, Timothy Peters almost gets in the back tailgate of the 98, but it seems like they're lapping a truck every lap.
There's nowhere to hide at Martinsville. If you've got a slow truck, you're going to be in somebody's way every lap of the race.
Timothy Peters all over that back bumper of Johnny Sauter, just waiting for one little slip.
You don't take Timothy, as we see John West Townley try to get underneath that 30 truck right side of your screen. That's a battle for 5th. You don't think Timothy let him by just so he could worry him to death a little bit, do you?
I don't know.
He takes the spot back away. Timothy Peters in front of that 98.
Like I said, I didn't see that coming either, Phil. I didn't think that Sauter would have anything left for Peters, but Johnny got around him.
Timothy Peters running a very impressive race. Johnny Sauter tucks back in to the 2nd spot. Timothy might have got into the back of him a little bit here.
Just a nudge.
Just barely a nudge.
That's nothing compared to what Johnny shoving Timothy out of the way earlier.
And once again, they close in on that slower lap traffic. It's Chase Pistone that they're coming up on now as this battle continues.
Cole Custer, the 00. How about look at this gaggle here. 4 wide going down in turn 3.
It's got to sort itself out somewhere.
Yeah. John Hunter Nemechek hung on the outside. Now Greg Gaulding, the 20 truck, trying to get by him. Norm Bending is out in the middle.
3 wide. It doesn't normally work. It filters itself out to 2 wide. Norm Bending on the outside. Greg Gaulding on the inside.
John Hunter got hung in that 8 truck on the outside. Now that opens up the bottom for Ben Kennedy in the 31.
And Ben Rhodes.
Ben Rhodes in the 32.
Through in the 32, and John Hunter's saying, what the heck just happened? He was running in the nice spot as he came by the lap before that. Dropped all the way back to 12th in 1 lap.
It's been a long green flag run here at Martinsville. Timothy Peters still out front. Johnny Sauter, Darrell Wallace Jr., Matt Crafton, and Hornaday, your top 5. John West Townley's dropped back to the 6th spot. Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, Gray Gaulding, and Ben Kennedy are your top 10.
Guys, I think we've run long enough now. If the caution flag comes out, I think everybody comes in, puts their last set of tires on, and then we fight it out for the last 60 or 70 laps.
But if the caution doesn't come out, do we see Peters, Sauter, Wallace Jr. and Crafton have to come in the next probably 40 laps?
That'd be something good for our pit reporters to check with those guys and see what kind of fuel mileage they were getting. Remember, this is way different weather than what we had the last time these trucks were on the racetrack, and get a more accurate reading, Ray, on what's going on with these guys and how far they can go.
Well, we just did our calculations down here, Phil, and it's going to be somewhere between 231 and 235, right in that window, lap number that is, that these guys will have to pit. That all came down when we had our pit stops at lap 93, so they're going to be about 15 laps short.
And that's about 50 laps from now. Just doing the numbers there. With 15 to go, anywhere from 20 to 15 to go is when they think they may run out of fuel.
Yeah, and I think they probably won't come unless that thing spits and sputters. They're going to try to say, well, maybe we'll get better fuel mileage than we thought we were going to get.
Sure. Battle for the 2nd spot.
Not much of a battle anymore. Bubba Wallace at 54 drives right by Johnny Sauter.
Using the 57 Norm Benning as a pick.
You know, we talked about Ron Hornaday racing here with John West Townley, pitting later along with Gray Gaulding. He was attracted.
Ben Rhodes as well.
Ben Rhodes. And those guys, I know we're going to have another caution. This is Martinsville, but I think they can stretch that gas all the way to the checker.
Oh, yeah, they're 40 laps to the good on those other trucks that pitted on lap number 93. They pitted on lap 133. We know they can make it, and that's what they're hoping for right now. Let's let this thing go green the rest of the way.
Timothy Peters has almost a second lead now over Darrell Wallace Jr., who's running in the 2nd spot. Johnny Sauter in that 3rd position. How about the 30 of Ron Hornaday? The brake rotors glowing. Welcome back under caution for the 5th time today. The 17 of Timothy Peters, your race leader, and he is on pit road. Bob Dilder.
It will be 4 tires with no adjustments for Timothy Peters. He told his crew chief Marcus Richmond, I'd hate to mess with it. This truck is so good. A simple pit stop for Timothy Peters, right?
Right rear tire was killed on Ryan Blaney's truck. He's going to come in here. They're going to put 4 on it. Chad, his crew chief, said we want to pack it full of fuel, and they've got to keep in mind the 13 is right in front of him. He's already in his pit stall. Hermie?
Crew Chief Jerry Baxter has told his guys this is the money stop for Darrell Wallace Jr. 4 tires. It'll be a chassis adjustment. They like the way the truck rolls through the center, but want a little bit more forward drive for this last run here at this racetrack. The left sides are going on. Timothy Peters will beat 54 off pit road, a little bit slow. Matt Crafton also races Bubba Wallace to the line.
Crafton's going to beat Darrell Wallace Jr. to that line. So Matt Crafton comes out 2nd. That might not be such a good thing because he's going to be on the outside and might get hung out on the outside. It's the 5th caution that has come out at Martinsville, and it was the 13 of Jeff Burton that went around. We're riding along with Johnny Sauter. A close call for him. Weird. And welcome back. Timothy Peters wins the race off of pit road. He will be in front of this field with Matt Crafton restarting in the 2nd spot. Darrell Wallace Jr., Ron Hornaday, and John West Townley are your top 5. Just outside the top 5 is Johnny Sauter. Now, again, earlier in this race, Johnny Sauter moved Timothy Peters out of the way to take over the lead. We were wondering how Timothy Peters would react. Well, here's 3 things you might not know about Timothy Peters.
You know, when you pushed over the edge, the red hair and the temper kind of comes into play. So it's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
That's one of the 3 things.
Yeah. Pretty important one, too,
though. You never
though.
know what Timothy Peters is going to do, but he said he doesn't like to get pushed over the edge.
But Marcus Richmond and his guys got him on the lead here with just over 50 laps to go.
Sounds like to me Johnny Sauter was lucky Timothy Peters had about 50 laps before he caught him. He got over it.
Did he get calmed down just a bit?
He stepped back off from the edge.
Yeah, and Timothy Peters passed him clean. I mean, it was a good clean pass when he was able to take the lead away from Johnny Sauter. We'll see what he can do now as we're closing in on the final 50 laps from here at Martinsville. The field back in the hands of the 17 of Timothy Peters. On the outside, Matt Crafton. On the inside of that second line, the 54 of Darrell Wallace Jr. He has been good all day. We'll see how he does in the final 53 laps of racing. Green flag back in the air.
Boy, a nice start by Timothy Peters. That may open up that bottom for Bubba Wallace.
Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to stay on the inside of that 88, but a strong run off of turn number 2. He'll take second away from the 54.
Boy, the guys on the outside off of turn 2 on these restarts are getting a good bite off the corner. Three wide
as they come out of turn 4. Great Gaulding on the outside.
Oh.
And they're not going to be able to stay 3 wide. Gaulding way up the racetrack now. He'll lose a lot of spots.
And he'll have some debris on his tires. It'll take a lap or 2 to get the tires cleaned off.
Fighting for position. You know when the laps wind down.
Look how tight it is for the lead. Just all over one another. One little slip and you can go from the lead to 5th or 6th.
Things are getting intense. 51 laps to go. Matt Crafton running in that second spot, Hermie.
Great stop by his guys. They took 4 tires, no adjustments. The right front tire on the 88 was down to the cords. So they were happy to get to pit road and get 4 new tires on Crafton, our champion, all the way up to second spot.
Matt Crafton, one of the guys who has had success in the Camping World Truck Series, trying to defend his championship from a year ago, has never won at Martinsville.
It's been close. Finished second, as we mentioned, this race last year to his teammate Johnny Sauter. Bubba Wallace, that 54 truck right now running 3rd. He's tasted victory here at Martinsville.
Timothy Peters out in front also has been to victory lane at this racetrack.
And look who's lurking back there in 4th. Ron Hornaday Jr. 51 wins, 4 championships, and he can taste another one.
And he also has a grandfather clock in his house.
Johnny Sauter's been able to get up into the top 5 there. You see him right there in that green truck, the Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff, number 98, right now behind Hornaday.
Sauter has been extremely impressive. Sauter's been out in front of this field 61 laps. Hornaday also at 61 laps led.
And amazingly enough, we still have that headlight camera in that 98 truck.
That's a tough camera because he's put it to the test, shoving on people with it.
Timothy Peters continuing to lead to his laps led. He's led 43 laps.
Rick, I believe that 54 truck of Bubba Wallace might have the fastest truck on the track. He's really showing respect to our defending Truck Series champion, Matt Crafton. Hadn't shoved around on him, but he's been right up against him.
But he knows, he looks in the mirror, he sees that 30 of Ron Hornaday. If Bubba doesn't do something, Ron Hornaday's able to catch him. You know, Ron Hornaday's going to make a move to go by.
Going by that modified 08 of Corbin Forrester. Excuse me, the 02. That's Tyler Young that they have taken the hood off of.
Yeah, Tyler lost a bunch of laps after that contact. He's 55 laps down, but still soldiering on.
Look how tight Bubba Wallace gets up to the back of Matt Crafton in the center of the corner. Matt's able to pull him off the corner a bit. Neither one of those trucks have lost any ground to Timothy Peters, though. So I know Bubba thinks if I can get around that, I know I got something for our leader.
Darrell Wallace Jr. showing patience as he gets right on the back bumper of the 88 of Matt Crafton.
You know, right now, if you could just ride along in this line without abusing your truck a whole lot, that might not be the worst play. Take care of those precious tires in case you need to make a sprint near the end.
We saw what new tires did for Ron Hornaday. He was able to drive up into the top 5. So we know there's some wear on these tires, and there's a little bit of give up. If he saves something, like you say, Michael, to the end, you might have an advantage.
Let's not spin those babies.
They all go by Norm Benning to the outside. Darrell Wallace Jr. actually looked to the outside of the 88, battle for the lead. The 17 and the 88. And how about the 3 wide that's taking place here at Martinsville?
Wow.
A new leader at Martinsville with 34 laps to go. Matt Crafton in front of Timothy Peters, Darrell Wallace Jr., Ron Hornaday, and Ryan Blaney. How did he get there? We're about to show you.
We saw that Timothy Peters was not able to shake the 80 of Matt Crafton. He goes around the 57 of Norm Benning. Squirted off the corner a little bit, but look at the momentum that Matt Crafton has now coming off the corner. See, there's some dirt on the racetrack down there where somebody went through the grass. It looked like Timothy got his left sides in that dirt, Michael.
And he's been able to, look, it was almost 3 wide for the lead. Bubba had intentions of taking him 3 wide, backed out. But since Crafton grabbed the lead from Peters, Phil, he's been able to stay right on his bump. Timothy's been able to hang right with Matt. So Matt hasn't driven away from him. Timothy could be just sizing him up for the last sprint to the checker.
Timothy almost into the side, and that was Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 10 that moved that 17 way out wide, affecting his line.
These two have separated themselves from, you see Bubba Wallace there off turn 2 and Hornaday. Then Ryan Blaney's rebounded strong here at the latter part of the race. He's all over the back of Ron Hornaday.
One guy that was up in the top 5 when we went away to break. Johnny Sauter's all the way back to the 11th spot. He'd actually lost all the way back to 12th. He gained 1 spot back. Now he runs 11th.
Yeah, he has fallen back considerably after being up front running in the top 5. Matt Crafton is looking good now as we get to the final 30 laps of racing. Timothy Peters, Darrell Wallace Jr., Ron Hornaday, Ryan Blaney, all in your top 5.
Boy, 20 seconds a lap. It doesn't take long for 30 laps to go by.
See Peters a little bit sideways there off turn 2, so running hard to keep up with Crafton. We watched Timothy finally wear Johnny Sauter down and grab the lead earlier. That's Sauter's teammate leading the race now. See if Timothy can do it again.
Sauter and Hornaday both have led 61 laps. Timothy Peters has led 48 laps. Now Matt Crafton out in front. He's only led 14 laps with 28 to go.
We've had a lot of comers and goers, haven't we?
Certainly
a lot of guys
have.
that looked like they had the truck to win the race with, and then they fade and another competitor rises to the top.
How about the youth? 31 of Ben Kennedy
racing with Johnny Sauter.
That's how Johnny moved back up into the top 10.
Hey,
down there, clear.
Well, kind of
almost clear.
We've seen Johnny drive that aggressive all day long. Every time he's gotten to someone, he hasn't really wasted any time of moving them out of the way, and he got a hold of Ben Kennedy there and shoved him up out of the groove.
And yes, he was clear for a moment there, but if Johnny had some momentum, you know he's going down there to the inside.
If they had been watching our TV show, we know it for sure, because he's done it every time.
And the caution comes out with 25 to go. Some debris on the front stretch has brought out the caution. It will be probably about a 20-lap shootout.
That's a part of a drive shaft there anyway.
I saw
Chase Bastoni in the 9 will get the free pass.
There's a truck somewhere that it's not under power anymore because that's a pretty serious part of it.
I thought I saw Clay Greenfield slow right in that area.
And so it will be a shootout, a race to the finish. Can Matt Crafton hang on and get his first win at Martinsville? Welcome back as the sun begins to set on Martinsville, Virginia and Martinsville Speedway. The final 20 laps of racing still to go in the Kroger 250. Matt Crafton's out in front. It's time now to look at our Ram Guts and Glory to see just how he got there.
It wasn't without incident. There's a little bit of contact from Ben Rhodes. Dings up the quarter panel on that Menards Toyota.
That's not a ding. He ripped it up. But look, he dives to the bottom of the racetrack.
That's the take the lead. The last pass we had here. Take the lead over Timothy Peters in the 17 truck.
An impressive run for the 88 as well as the 17 of Timothy Peters, Bob.
Well, this racetrack in this part of the country, very important for not only Timothy Peters, but also for his crew chief, Marcus Richmond. They've been paired together, reunited of sorts this year with this team, and they have a long history in this part of the country. In fact, it goes way back to their late model stock car days. In fact, back in '05, that's a picture from Orange County Speedway with the two of them. They also won at South Boston Speedway, but back in 2005, they actually won a race right here at Martinsville Speedway where Timothy Peters was able to kiss that clock. He's hoping to do that again today.
He's been very strong on the restarts on the outside line. That's exactly where he'll line up on this one for 19 to go. Back into the gas. Matt Crafton on the inside. Darrell Wallace Jr. look to the inside. Timothy Peters on the outside.
Boy, Crafton drove it hard. Look at Timothy Peters, gets a little bit sideways.
Way up the racetrack with Cole Custer as well. Now it's a battle for second. Darrell Wallace Jr. on the inside, Timothy Peters on the outside. Out in front of the field, Matt
we got
Crafton.
a spinner. Hornaday into the outside wall.
Hard into the outside wall, and a lot of smoke around that 30 as he was spinning the tires trying to keep it going.
Doesn't appear to be a lot of contact with the outside wall for Hornaday.
That nose went straight in the nose, Phil. But
yeah.
I'm sure the splitter's bitten down, which will certainly drag the road and make the truck not turn.
He's testing it out now to see if he's going to have to come to pit road. You can see the right side of that splitter is bent down to the racetrack.
He was running in the 4th spot when this happened. Armand Quiroga coming in there, got into that curb.
Armand was committed, and he tried to go up on the curb to give Ron a little extra space, and Ron was committed to closing the door. And I think get down to 20 to go, Phil, you're going to start to see more and more aggression, and that just looked like Armand looking to get into a hole that wasn't really there.
You're going to try to take a little more space than you would have maybe 100 laps ago. There's another view of it.
You can see it's a late dive. You know, you hate to just say that's just racing, but here at Martinsville with 20 to go, people are going to start taking more than they give, and he took more than was there, I think.
7th caution of the day. Around goes the 30. Not as much contact as what it looked as though. As that happened, all the smoke around him.
That splitter's tough, Rick, so it's if he don't come to pit road and get it bent up, I think he's going to have problems.
Hermie Sadler.
Well, Rick, the conversation with Matt Crafton and his crew chief, Junior Joyner, has been about his transmission on the restarts. He feels like he has to shift too quickly. The engine reaches RPMs quicker than he would like. So the strategy was on that last restart was slow the pace down and take advantage of that transmission. It gets through the RPM a little bit quicker. Worked on the last restart. Will it work again? We'll have to wait and see. Ray?
Track bar adjustment for Ryan Blaney really helped him in the center of the corner. He was way too tight, and they have freed that truck up. He said the last couple times down into the corner, he's really able to make up some ground. Blaney has moved up 4 spots. He'll restart in 4th position.
The last restart, Timothy Peters came out of turn 4, looked as though he got maybe a little bit of a jump on the 88, had to wait for Crafton to come through that starting area, and that allowed Crafton to go right on by.
He really took advantage of that when they got down to turn number 1. He had momentum, and Timothy Peters had to check up a little bit because he didn't want to really beat Crafton to the start-finish line.
They'll line up side by side once again.
Timothy's going to get another crack at him here.
This time it'll be with 14 laps to go when they get to the stripe.
Now, Timothy went to school a little bit now. He knows how Crafton did that last restart.
Yeah, there's some gamesmanship that you can play in that zone. It's nothing that Crafton did wrong, but Timothy's going to be smarter this time, like you said, Phil. He'll watch Matt closer.
Coming out of turn number 4. The zone starts at the double red line right there, and Crafton on it hard. Green flag back in the air.
Well, I don't see anything wrong with that transmission this time, do you? Look at John West Townley inside of Ryan Blaney.
But look at Peters on the high side, making a good run off turn 2. Gets his truck up ahead of Bubba.
Can he do it again through 3 and 4? Now Timothy Peters fighting for that 2nd spot. Gets a little bit loose coming out of turn 4. Darrell Wallace Jr. moves up to 2nd.
When Darrell was following Crafton earlier, Phil, I think he had a faster truck than Matt. It'll be interesting to see if Matt's got a little bit more left in that number 88 and can get away from Wallace.
Bubba drives it hard down in turn number 3. Look at this gaggle going in 3 here.
Rick Alding in the 20. On the inside of that 33 of Brandon Jones.
Chase Pistone, the 9 truck inside of Ben Rhodes.
A little contact there as they were going down the front stretch.
Everybody fighting for the inside of the racetrack. Brandon Jones gets shoved to the outside.
3 wide, more contact. The 7 into the side of that 33. And they continue to fight for position.
Man, if they don't have a caution in these last 10 laps, I'll be surprised. And that's the last thing. What happened to Bubba?
He got 2nd taken away from him. And all the way down to 4th.
And here comes Peters.
And John West Townley moves up to 3rd. What a great run for John West Townley today.
Yeah, career day for John West Townley here in the Truck Series. He's a former winner at Daytona in the ARCA Racing Series.
Matt Crafton. 10 laps of racing to go at Martinsville.
See that truck on the inside? That's Ben Kennedy. He jumped to the inside of Johnny Sauter and took away that 6th spot. So Ben's strong here late in the going.
Will 10 laps be enough for Timothy Peters to get to the back bumper of that 88 of Matt Crafton? Ben Kennedy running in the 6th spot. Eric Jones in the 5th position.
Ben Kennedy and his team trying to raise awareness for Lou Gehrig's disease on that truck.
John West Townley just in front of Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to hold on to 3rd. Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to take it away. Moves to the inside.
Nice little bump square in the back of that 5 truck, giving Bubba the advantage. I wonder if Bubba got loose or something, trying to chase down Matt Crafton, because he had some space on the trucks behind him. Next thing you know, he's sideways.
And that truck looks, oh, Gray Gaulding gets turned around.
Gaulding goes around into the inside wall, and it brings out the caution.
That's a huge break for Bubba Wallace. He got that 3rd spot away from John West Townley. That means he's going to be on the inside. Timothy Peters stuck on the outside again. That move was perfect timing for Bubba Wallace to have a shot to win this race, right on the bottom of the racetrack on this restart.
Gray Gaulding was running in the 13th spot, and Cole Custer in front of him. 2 16-year-olds fighting for position.
Well, the fight escalated too, Rick.
Gaulding once again into the back of that 00, and then he got caught up from behind by the 33 of Ben Rhodes, or excuse me, of Brandon Jones.
Guys, remember the West race at Phoenix last November. Cole Custer led 49 3/4 laps. Had a little bit of contact from the back with that 20 of Gray Gaulding into Cole Custer. Gray won that West race.
You could see Custer was purposely trying to hold Gaulding down after Gaulding ran into the back of him, and it just nothing Brandon Jones could do. Those guys were having a fight among themselves, and other guys got involved in it. But those young cats seem like maybe there's a rivalry starting here. You talked about Phoenix. We see it again today.
Composure?
Well, there wasn't
that word we brought up earlier.
There wasn't any there, no doubt. And I didn't remember seeing any at Phoenix either when Gray led those laps.
Yeah. Cole Custer and Gray having a history.
We know Matt Crafton's bunch did not want to see that caution flag. Let's go back to Phoenix back in November here. Remember, this is the last lap. Going in turn number 3, Cole Custer set on the pole, led every single lap till right then.
Gray Gaulding got into the back of him, spun him. Gray Gaulding went on to win that race. But I believe that set a precedent. And it might be in the back of the 00 and the 20's mind on the track today.
Rick, I think you asked me a question yesterday, or asked Michael and I a question about if something happens on the racetrack as we watch this again, you know, how long do you remember that? And I said, you remember it for career length.
Forever. The 98's camera that we have wondered if it would continue to live. Look at all the damage to the right front.
Oh,
our
no.
camera is in the headlight.
Is it okay?
I don't know. Let's look here.
And, oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, it's still working.
We've got a
so far. Wait a minute, we're not done yet.
Vantage point now.
Yeah. Another shot to the back, trying to move that 77 of Quiroga up. There was no way. There was no way that camera was going to come out of here unscathed.
There it is.
That's a good camera.
Right in the headlight. What a great vantage point that has given us. And we want to shout out to all of our crew members. It's been a long day for them, and we appreciate them sticking with us. A doubleheader here today at Martinsville. They've done an excellent job, and we appreciate their hard work.
Yeah, Johnny's 7th right now. You know he hasn't given up. There's no give up in that driver. He wants more here on this late restart. We're running out of laps, though.
Going to be 3 laps to go. They're giving him 1 to go sign. You know, April 16th, the all-new season of the Ultimate Fighter, which we might see right here on track, begins as bitter rivals take over to coach the next generation of UFC fighters. It's the Ultimate Fighter. Team Edgar versus Team Penn begins April 16th only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
I think it would be on pit road.
That's where you think the Ultimate Fighting?
Yes.
Oh, I think it's going to get crazy.
Oh, I'm nervous. This is a tight restart. I don't know if we can make it. I don't know if we can make it 3 laps without.
I don't know. They're going to add a lap here, so we're going to actually.
This will be our first attempt at a green-white checker.
It will be our first attempt at a green-white checker because we will get the green flag as we complete lap 299 or 249. Excuse me.
Yep. And so will Timothy Peters and Matt Crafton have enough composure to continue and see who gets to victory lane? We're about to find out. Bob Dillner.
The problem for Timothy Peters is that truck is going away. It's gotten way too loose, especially on the outside groove coming off of 4 on these restarts. So not the same truck that Timothy had earlier in the day, Hermie.
Well, Bob, Matt Crafton was talking to his crew about what he was trying to attempt to do on the restarts because of his transmission and how quickly went through the gears. But all they're telling him now is, you've been the man the last 2 restarts. Whatever you've been doing, do the same thing again and drive this truck to victory lane.
That was Ashley, Matt Crafton's wife, that we saw on top of the pit box. Anxious moments for her. There she is.
I can imagine how she feels, because I don't really have any dogs in the race, and I'm going crazy up here. I know this is going to be an amazing 2 laps. I'm more worried about the composure of the second row than the first. Those guys are going to have an opportunity to jump on these 2 leaders.
First attempt at a green-white checker. Green flag back in the air. A great restart for the 17 of Timothy Peters.
Crafton drives it hard down in the corner. He'll use up Timothy if he needs to.
Crafton out in front as they go down the backstretch. Timothy Peters running the 17, and around goes the 51. He had help. Up the racetrack goes the field, and the caution's going to come out before they get the white. We'll try it again.
Tough break for Eric Jones. That was a hard hit into the inside while running in the top 5 on that restart and got crashed.
It looked like Johnny Sauter kind of hooked him in the left for a quarter. Don't know maybe that Eric came down on Johnny, but that's the truck that I saw that helped that 51 around.
Take another look.
Oh, they just got together.
They got together and he was sideways. Johnny figured he'd just go ahead and move him on out of the way.
Johnny's had an aggressive race today, running into every truck he's caught, basically.
Got into the back of the 51 and didn't let off the gas.
Watch this truck. Bam!
Jumps off the ground. Boy, great job by Eric not letting that truck go back out in traffic.
This was coming off turn number 2.
Johnny had a nose to the inside.
Right along with the 98. This is actually from on top of the truck.
Still out there. Still out there. Easy. Easy.
Kind of tell from the sound there a little bit.
And Ashley's no. One more apparently.
Don't you love this sport? From one emotion to the other.
Yeah. She's like, oh, did we get the white? Come on, white. No, we didn't get the white.
And then, and then back to the other.
Yeah.
We were upset we didn't get the lead. Then we got the lead.
Ecstatic.
I mean,
and then frustration.
And we have to do it again. At least one more time.
NASCAR racing is the most intense, most emotional, draining sport that I think there is, for me anyway.
We've raced here a couple hours, and here we are with possibly 2 laps left, and we have no idea who's going to win this race.
I know one thing. If Timothy Peters is on the outside of Matt Crafton when they get to turn 1, he better be ready to move over, because Matt drove into the first turn, and he was definitely going to need some help getting around the corner on the low side if Timothy hadn't been there.
He needed 8 tires.
But instead, Timothy slid up as well, so it worked out well for Matt. We get to do it all over again.
Eric Jones in the 51. We talked about the success of that number and that truck. It had won the last 3 races. He had won at Phoenix, then Kyle Busch in the 51 had won at Homestead, and started off the 2014 season in victory lane at Daytona.
That sun's about to set here. We need to go ahead and finish this thing at some point.
Second attempt at a green-white checker.
This is good.
They're 2 wide once again. Matt Crafton is your race leader. He chooses the inside line. Timothy Peters on the outside. Pace car makes its way back behind the wall.
Matt's tried to switch it up. He's done a couple, 3 different kinds of restarts here. Let's see if he's picked the right one for this one.
2 by 2 coming out of turn number 4 into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air.
Better start for Peters. He's alongside Crafton.
Got a good angle down in the corner.
Door to door coming out onto the backstretch. Crafton with the advantage. Timothy Peters tucks in behind as they go into turn number 3. Bubba Wallace moves to 17 out of the way. He takes second. Timothy Peters tries to keep it straight. More contact. White flag in the air. One more time for Matt Crafton. Two by two as they continue through 1 and 2. Out in front of the field. The 88 of Matt Crafton. The late charge by the 54 of Darrell Wallace Jr. But it's the 88. Matt Crafton wins in Martinsville. A champion a year ago and now gets his 4th career win, and it comes at Martinsville.
What a great job they had to withstand the restart challenges of Timothy Peters. John West Townley, what a tough break for him. Had a career day going, gets turned around on the backstretch.
Racing hard with Armand Quiroga, and around he went.
Take a look at this. 1777. That was after the checkered flag had come out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that he 77
It'll
also
continue.
Pushed.
And yep.
Bam.
A lot of work to do now at the shop.
Obviously both those trucks coming out of the same stable.
Watch Quiroga. Looks like Townley gets sideways and Quiroga just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it turns John West around. I knew there was contact. I didn't know what started. It looked like just got loose off the corner. Maybe did Townley, and then
Timothy was bouncing off the wall right in front of John West.
And the reason why Timothy was mad at Quiroga is because when they got to turn 3 on the last lap, he just ran him right up the track and out of the way.
Such an impressive day for John West Townley, not ending the way he deserved it to end. He ran a very impressive race and ends up not being able to complete all the laps.
A lot of young cats had a great day. Ben Kennedy comes home in the 3rd spot. Another solid performance for Ben.
Backs up a 4th place finish here last October.
Ben Rhodes gets that 7th place finish. So
yep. Cole Custer with a top 10 in his debut.
It's tough to win at Martinsville. Matt Crafton becomes the 23rd different winner in just the 31st race here.
Wow. He's going to give this motor a little bit of a crank.
The guy who he was racing with on those last laps, Timothy Peters, standing by with Bob Dillner.
Timothy Peters was such a good run. What happened on that final restart?
You know, just wild, exciting at Martinsville, you know. First to 54 kind of moved us up out of the way, but I wouldn't expect my own teammate to do it, so it's Martinsville. You know, tempers are going to flare. Apologize to all the guys back at the shop for 2 teammates getting into it. But, you know, Armand's got a lot to learn. Thanks to Parts Plus, Valvoline, Net 10, OtterBox, Bullet, Liquid Performance, just everybody that really helps out this organization. Toyota. So the fastest truck didn't win again.
What happened with you and your teammate there when things kind of got crazy?
It's Martinsville, baby.
A lot of bent sheet metal between those 2 trucks. Actually, a lot of bent sheet metal on a lot of different trucks.
That's a team owner's worst nightmare, seeing a couple of your trucks tearing each other up.
After the race is over.
Especially. Looks like Ron had some words for.
Yeah, he wasn't happy. Obviously, Armand got into Ron and turned him around late in the race, so he wasn't happy.
There might be a long line over there for Armand.
Yeah.
Last couple of laps were aggressive.
There's one happy man right there, though, driving that 88 truck.
And Matt Crafton had the McDonald's winning ingredients today. He had to fight through quite a bit to get this grandfather clock.
We saw how good Timothy Peters was on the outside on restarts, and Matt stood up there about 4 or 5 times and withstood every challenge.
Did a great job on the final restarts. Ashley able to celebrate. I'm sure they'll celebrate with Ellerdy, their daughter.
Finally, she could just be happy.
The right emotion.
We won the race, and there's no bad news ahead.
Matt Crafton with the McDonald's winning ingredients today. He has made it into the makeshift victory lane that takes place right on the start-finish line here at Martinsville. And it's time to celebrate.
Matt Crafton, your 25th start at this racetrack, and finally a grandfather clock for you.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to get it right there on that first 2 runs, but that's just the way these guys never give up. I mean, we made track bar adjustment, another track bar adjustment, air pressure adjustment, and finally we got that thing on. I mean, I can't think, like I said, every one of these guys, Menards, Ideal Door, Toyota Tundra, and those guys that raced me clean. I mean, Peters was back there at the end, and Bubba was back there. He could have moved me, but I can't thank every one of these guys enough.
2 parts of the race. You started 10th, drove to the front, then had to survive a handful of restarts at the end. What made the difference for your truck on the restarts?
Just trying to be smart and not overdrive one. I thought I gave one away. I drove it in there and I wheel hopped and it got loose getting into one. I said, oh, don't do that again. And I was trying to anticipate where Timothy was going to go because he was lagging back on me so far. But like I said, it was awesome. Finally got that grandfather clock.
That's Matt Crafton. He's in victory lane at Martinsville.
And you see the lights. Those are temporary lights that are brought in just for this makeshift victory lane. It was typical Bristol, bumping and banging, tempers, obviously.
I think I can't wait to tune into the hub tomorrow and find out if there was any fights and what happened after the race, because the racing action was amazing.
Had 3 or 4 different guys that looked like they had the truck to win, but at the end, Matt Crafton is the one that did it.
Very impressive run for Matt Crafton, grabbing his 4th career win in the Camping World Truck Series. Race Hub will have more results tomorrow.
Yeah!